Hello, freak bitches.
So let's talk about this rematch.
Which one? Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor?
What are they fighting at, 55?
I do not know. I don't think that's been solidified. I believe that Conor has asked for it to take place at 70, which is where he was.
So he can say, like, I can do this?
Exactly the same weight, and then it won't be a factor, you know. But also, I think he was really healthy at 170, and I think he liked that. Conor. Like, I think he felt great leading up to the camp and leading up to the fight. He just had a bad game plan, and his ground game kind of got exposed.
2 weight classes above where he won a title?
It's not 2 weight classes. It's not true. First of all, they both weighed in almost exactly the same weight.
No, 2 weight classes above where he won his title.
Yes, but not really. All it is they're not cutting weight. It's 2, but he's not fighting.
One is not cutting weight.
Right, but he's not fighting like Damian Maia, who used to fight at 205 or 185, and he's cutting down.
I mean, at least it's not
to
title shots.
170.
At least it's not title shots where it's like, you don't deserve a title shot on 2 weight classes above you. It's just a Nate Diaz fight.
Well, this isn't a title shot.
I'm saying at least it's not.
Well, you know the whole story behind it. There was a fallout. Rafael dos Anjos, who's the lightweight champion, was supposed to be fighting Conor McGregor. He breaks his foot 11 days before the fight. Nate Diaz takes the fight on a drop of a hat with no training whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking none. He hadn't done anything.
He was at the store.
Yeah, he was hanging
out.
And Nate, posted pictures afterwards of him drinking tequila and hanging out in Mexico, eating tacos and shit. So he was just having a
2
party.
2 on 9, bitch.
He's just living his life, right?
Yeah.
But he's in such good shape that he can get away with that because he does so much triathlon training. He's constantly biking and swimming and running. He's entered into a bunch of triathlons. He's in very good shape. And so he was able to pull it off because his cardio base was so good. And he's a fucking damn good fighter. He's a damn good fighter.
And he's exciting, too.
And he's fought legitimately at 170 twice. He lost to Stun Gun Kim, and he also lost to Rory McDonald at 170. These are legitimate 170s, and Rory being one of the best 170s in the world. Yeah.
Okay.
He got ragdolled a little bit by Rory, but, that was a wake-up call for him. He went back to 155, and at 155, in his last fight against Michael Johnson, he put on probably the best performance up to the Conor McGregor fight, the best performance of his career. He was fucking sensational. So I didn't say 55,
because when I view Nate Diaz, I think of him as a 55er.
That's what he usually competes at. But for this fight, he didn't want to have to cut weight. It's only 11 days out. Right. He's a little heavy. So he says, look, let's make it at 170. They both agree. Nate weighed 169. Conor weighed 168, or maybe vice versa. I think that's it, though. So, I mean, they're basically the same size.
What would they fight at?
They fought at 170. What do you mean?
I mean, when Nate said, I'll fight at 170, where was he walking at?
Probably a little heavier than that. He probably dieted and worked out real hard for 7 or 8 days of the 11.
And
tapered off the last couple. No, Conor didn't have to cut anything. Okay. I mean, if he cut anything, probably a couple pounds. So which is nothing.
10 pounds difference, let's say. Not a big deal. That happens at 170.
But there's not even 10 pounds difference. They're the same weight. Like when they got into the octagon, I guarantee you they're within a pound or 2 of each other.
In the octagon?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But Nate is longer and taller, and he's a very good boxer. Like, Nate spars on a regular basis with Andre Ward, who is one of the best pound-for-pound, if not the best pound-for-pound boxer in the world now that Floyd Mayweather's quote-unquote retired. Yeah. Andre Ward is a motherfucker. And he just fought this Saturday night on HBO, and I just watched it the other day on DVR. It's fucking amazing. He's so good, dude. He's just nasty. And he's fighting at 175. He's going to fight Sergey Kovalev, who's the best 175er in the world.
So he fought with him.
So Nate spars with that guy on a regular basis. Like, they're friends. And, Nate also spars his brother Nick, who's one of the best strikers in the UFC. Definitely one of the best boxers. He's a very good boxer. And he also spars with Joe Schilling all the time, who is Glory World Champion, Kickboxing World Champion. He's a motherfucker, man. So Nate is sparring with high-level world-class strikers, legitimate. Andre Ward, Joe Schilling. Yeah. 2 world champions in 2 respective disciplines. So he's a bad motherfucker. I just think that people see him swearing and sticking up his double fingers, and they don't realize put all that shit aside and observe his movements.
Yeah.
Observe his movements in a fight. Like in the Michael Johnson fight, in the Gomi fight, in the Marcus Davis fight, in the Gray Maynard fight. Observe his movements. He's a motherfucker, dude. Yeah. When he tees off on you, he comes at you like a snake. He's got long ass arms.
Was that the Cerrone fight where it was the most connections of all time, where it was 80% of his strikes hit?
In the first round, he lit Donald up.
Yeah, it was what the fuck? Nothing missed.
He lit Donald up. He fucked Donald up in that first round.
It was 4 or 5 years ago, right?
Donald started coming back with leg kicks. The only guy who's ever really successfully put him away in the UFC was Josh Thompson. And Josh Thompson is one of the most underrated guys he's Josh Thompson, when he was at his best, left to go over to Strikeforce, and a lot of people missed out on some of the fucking wars that he had over there, and the Gilbert Melendez fights over there, and he went through, a lot of wear and tear on you. But like skill for skill, Josh Thompson is a motherfucker, but he's like 36, and time just starts to get everybody. But at his best, and I think that like his last fight with Nate Diaz, when he head kicked him, he stopped him, was one of like his best performances ever. Right. And then he had some losses after that, but again, it's like it's hard to stay healthy and get through a camp when you're 36 years old. When those guys get to like, the late 30s, things start to get. So he has one loss, but the loss, in my opinion, I mean, one stoppage loss, but the loss to Thompson is like he's one of the most underrated guys.
So it's like solid loss.
Fuck yeah! It doesn't get looked at as solid as it should be. I think Thompson at his best he's a motherfucker.
So so let's say he's a natural 170er. Let's say he wants to fight that Conor.
But he's not. He's not. He just wants to fight this fight at 170
to prove his point that he can win it.
To fight exactly the way they did it before, and to come in and fight in a better. This is what happened.
If they're gonna do that, in the meantime, they should let Frankie and Aldo fight for a title.
I agree.
Like, how long are you gonna vacate the belt that you haven't defended once?
Max Holloway should be in the mix as well. I think they also offered Aldo a shot at McGregor, and he didn't take it.
That could be a Brazilian thing, if you know what I mean.
Oh, what are you saying, steroids?
Yeah.
Wait, I like how you made the injection like heroin.
They still do that? So I picture it?
I would say it was more like he's just unprepared and out of shape and didn't want to get knocked out again. I mean, the guy just knocked him out with one fucking punch a couple of months ago.
I remember a guy, but I mean, he's like, give me that rematch,
He didn't know. See, he didn't know that Conor was going to get worked. When Conor got worked by Nate Diaz, it changed the whole game.
He's like, I can beat this guy.
Everything changed, man. Everything changed in everyone's approach to him. When you watch a guy get beat up and strangled like that, you got to pee again?
Yeah.
Go ahead, do it.
Keep talking about this stuff.
Don't worry about it, man. But my point is, for the folks listening, when you watch a guy get beat up like Conor got beat up against Nate, and he shoots for a takedown and then gets taken down, Nate gets on top of him, beats him up, and then chokes him, and he taps real quick. Like Nate just dominated him once it got to the ground. He was already hurt when it got to the ground. Then everybody goes, okay. Could Rafael dos Anjos do this? And for a guy like Conor, I think one of the reasons why he wants his fight back is to prove that he fucked up. That he tried to take Nate out with big power bombs. He gassed out. He got tired. And then Nate boxed him up in the second round. Nate started tagging him, had him hurt, had him shoot for a takedown. So a guy like Conor, you don't get to be that good. You don't get to be that far. You don't get to be that successful. You don't get to knock out Aldo with one punch and beat the fuck out of Poirier in the first round like you called it, and beat the shit out of Seaver and stop Chad Mendez when you wanted to bet millions of dollars on it. I mean, he's a legit 100% motherfucker. But the game does not care about personalities. The game does not care about confidence.
Sure doesn't, huh?
The interaction of fists and face and chokes and necks and kicks and bodies, it does not care about anything other than what works. So like when you see a loss like a Ronda Rousey getting knocked the fuck out by Holly Holm, it does not mean that Ronda Rousey sucks. It does not mean that Holly Holm is the greatest ever. It just means the game doesn't give a fuck who you are. It doesn't care. You want to charge face first at a counter striker, and she clips you with that first punch, you're already at check. You're already at check. You got rocked like the first punch, and then you're getting beat up for 4.5 minutes after that.
Right.
And then the second round comes around. You don't even know where the fuck you are. Your ears are going, beep!
And so then if you
You can't see. Your fucking eyes are blurry.
That must be so weird.
Terrifying.
That's what I love about UFC as opposed to boxing. Nobody goes 29-0.
No.
I mean, if you go 6 in a row, that's like, wow.
Well, that's why John Jones is so spooky.
Yeah.
Nobody's beaten John Jones. John Jones has one loss, and it's a disqualification against Matt Hamill, where he was crushing him.
Yeah.
On top of him. And it's a dumb rule. It's like 12-6 elbows on the clock face. If you drop an elbow down from 12-6, the people that made the rules thought that somehow or another was dangerous. It's no different than any other kind of elbow.
Is it still a rule?
Yeah, it's a stupid rule. It's a rule that they put in place because the people that were on the commission, this is coming from Big John McCarthy himself, the people that were on the commission at the time, they thought that if you dropped a 12-6 elbow like those ESPN karate shows, you could break bricks and shit, you could kill somebody.
Oh.
So they made it illegal. Meanwhile, it's not even 12-6, it's like 1-7. It's stupid. It's stupid.
I can't wait for him to come back and fight again.
It's really almost never 12-6. It's always at a slight angle. But either way, it's fucking dumb. It's a dumb rule. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. By the way, we have Nate Diaz calling into our sports podcast, Punch Drunk Sports.
Oh, do you really?
Well, fake Nate Diaz.
Oh.
Nate Diaz.
Fake.
They always call in.
I'm glad you had a fake one. How good are they?
The fake ones?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Really?
First of all, the accents are great, and they talk about the 209 so much. They're always talking about they're going pontoon boat shopping. Man, you come out. You got to hear them, man. They're great. It's Danish and O'Neill, and they're so fucking good at it. For a while, they were dating Ronda Rousey, and GSP was all upset about it because he wanted to date Ronda Rousey, and they catfished him and buried him in a refrigerator box in the desert. He got out, and now GSP is addicted to kitty litter. The kitty litter and computer spray. He's got all these addictions. Talking to the aliens all the time. They told me I missed 2 minutes of my life.
Oh, that's hilarious. Is that on YouTube anywhere?
No, not YouTube, but punchdrunksports.com. I think
gotta get clips.
The Daily Motion ones. I think they're all up in Daily Motion.
And that stuff.
Yeah, we gotta clip that shit and put it on YouTube.
Yeah, why don't you have clips?
You
just don't.
Yeah. I mean, I can't give you a good reason.
This is the reason why I think the rematch is huge.
Okay.
This is why you have to do it.
Okay.
First of all, because Conor McGregor, up until that fight, is one of the most spectacular fighters ever in the history of the sport.
And people are talking about him.
Yeah, just it's the spectacle. In that sense of spectacular, the guy gets on stage and screams at the weigh-ins, and the crowd goes nuts, and the Irish flags are everywhere.
Galvanized the nation, and I don't even know what galvanized means.
It means like a coating, like
great.
when you get nails so they don't rust.
Oh, okay.
He's spectacular, right? And his results inside the octagon, other than Nate Diaz fights, have been incredibly dramatic.
Calling exactly mid-second
Amazing.
round, I'll get him with an uppercut and knock him out, and then it's like, what?
But when a guy like Nate Diaz beats you, and beats you the way he beat you, the right thing to do is to have a rematch. And this is why. Because the rematch is where the big money's at. The rematch with Nate Diaz is goddamn Scrooge McDuck, giganti, huge, 2 million plus pay-per-view buys.
Because it's still on the table. Like, if it goes, let's just say he goes to 45, then maybe 55 again. There's always going to be like, well, I mean, Nate Diaz will beat you, you know?
Exactly. Not only that, but here's the other problem.
What?
Frankie might beat him.
Sure. Everyone might beat him.
Max Holloway might beat him in a rematch. Who knows?
Yeah.
Jose Aldo might beat him now. Now that especially Jose Aldo could.
Yeah.
If Jose Aldo.
Temptations.
Yeah, it just comes in real healthy. You know what I'm saying? If Jose Aldo is a fucking 9-year undefeated all-time great fighter who got clipped with one big punch. So what if Aldo fights like in a similar way to how Miesha Tate fought Holly Holm? Takes his time, wears that motherfucker out in round 2 or 3, and just stays on the outside and leg kicks the shit out of him.
Yeah.
If Aldo just chooses to, Aldo was so mad he tried to take his head off with a left hook, and he got clipped. He loaded up and he got clipped. But what if he doesn't do that? What if he goes in there and plays slow on the outside and starts kicking his legs? What if he initiates a clinch? Because let me tell you something about Aldo's jiu-jitsu. It's fucking world class.
Yeah.
Like you watch Aldo versus Mike Brown in the UFC, or the WEC rather, when he won the featherweight title. Can't get anything right. When he won the featherweight title, dude, he takes his back like a fucking world champion and smashes him. So Cyborg's in the UFC now too.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I just heard that from you, World Pen Pool.
Yeah.
Finally.
Mm-hmm.
Finally.
Yeah, at 140.
At 140.
Yeah. The
Now
problem
Ronda
is,
fights at 35?
Yes. And she's going to fight Leslie Smith, who fights at 135. It's the girl that her ear exploded. Her ear got torn off by Jessica I.
What's the problem?
Well, it's not a problem, but it's a 140-pound weight class instead of a 145. That's the 145 is what she's champion of in Invicta, and I think the idea is that they worry that they don't have enough 145-pound talent. I think they didn't have enough 135-pound talent.
No, for sure they didn't.
They didn't have a 115-pound talent.
You have someone about to give somebody a third rematch in 5 years. Mm-hmm. Like, come on, man.
What, you mean Miesha Tate?
Yeah, it was like you don't have a deep enough weight class if that's what you keep doing.
Well, sort of, but I mean that's the same problem they're going to have right now at welterweight. The same problem you're talking about at 145, which has a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent at 145 in men's.
Oh yeah.
You know, so This is what I think. I think, first of all, she's fucking terrifying. You want to talk about like one of the scariest female strikers in MMA? Cyborg's terrifying. And Tony and I got in trouble because we said some inappropriate jokes about what would a roast be like with her. All jokes aside, even before that, I had tweeted that I would love to see her in the UFC.
For sure. She's the name.
She's a monster. And I think also we shouldn't have double standards as far as who takes performance-enhancing drugs, whether it's for men or for women. Like,
is there?
I think there kind of is. I think the way people look at it, like when a woman is taking testosterone versus a man taking testosterone.
Because it's not already part of your body.
Yeah. But, honestly, like some of the things that men have been caught with have been pretty unnatural as well, like superhuman levels of testosterone that don't even exist in medical books. So you could argue that it's dangerous because a woman does change her anatomy.
Whatever, they're testing her now.
Yeah, but your anatomy changes.
Oh, right.
But you have to make a weight class. It's tricky, man.
I mean, it always seemed before this Holly Holm thing happened, and that's all fishy too.
What's fishy?
Like Ronda won't take a fight against Holly Holm, and then it's suddenly like Miesha Tate wins. Like, I'm ready to fight now. It's like
no, she's not necessarily ready to fight now. No, she's not. She can't fight until like November.
Really?
She's got movie obligations. They got moved around. See, that's bad right there.
That is
when
bad.
The movies get in the way of your fights.
Yeah.
Like you got to pick one or the other.
Go in between.
Yeah.
Wait for 4 months and say, as soon as my fight's over, I can do your movie for the next 3 months, and then I get back to training.
It's got to be hard though when you're a super celebrity and you're getting all this love and everybody wants to put you in all these different things. It's got to be hard to say no to certain things.
Obviously, but the same shit happens to female comics.
Yeah, but it's way worse with a fighter because a fighter has to be physically tuned up to go in to do battle and get kicked in the fucking head.
Yeah, it's way worse with a fighter. It's just similar, where it's like you're not concentrating on the thing that got you there.
Right.
So the thing that got you there is now suffering.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't care anymore. Maybe you just want to do movies. Okay.